Hello everybody, my name is Cybermanalf, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, episode 4 of series 12. Now, side note, just before I want to get into this, they did release sort of like a new trailer, which is phenomenal, and if the series is as good as that trailer, then this is going to be an amazing series. Genuinely, if you've not seen the coming soon trailer for series 12 they just released, go watch it. It genuinely looks like the best thing that Doctor Who will ever produce. And it sort of shows off the Cybermen, not really though. But that's just a side note. I might break it down later in the week, so if you want to see that, then leave it down in the comment section below and I will consider it. But for now, I'm just going to talk about Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. So, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, the best Doctor Who title in existence, or one of the best Doctor Who titles in existence, was phenomenal. I don't remember ever just sitting down, watching a Doctor Who episode, and then just it finishing and just thinking I could have watched that. If that was genuinely, I could have watched that forever. It was so captivating, and there was just something about the performance of Nikola Tesla which was just so incredible. I just didn't want it to end, and that's something that the best episodes of anything or film should do, make you not want them to end, and I genuinely did not want this episode to end. I sat there and I knew it was ending because they were saying goodbye, and I was like, please don't end, I don't want you to end. There was just something so magical and captivating about this episode that I just really didn't want it to end. So I'm just going to talk about, well, I mean that was a big positive, but I'm just going to talk about the other positives in the episode. So the biggest positive for me was the performance of Nikola Tesla. Never ever before have I been so captivated by a historical figure in Doctor Who. Genuinely, he was the best character of the episode. I wanted him to come and travel with the Doctor. I wanted him to become a companion. I just loved Nikola Tesla in this episode. I thought everything he did was so good. I think another clever decision on the part of the writing team was to have the first part of the episode from sort of like Tesla's perspective, and not the Doctor finding the energy signal and coming to Earth. So obviously we do know more about the Doctor than Nikola Tesla did, but we don't really know much of why the Doctor came, apart from like that alien orb thing, the orb of Thassa. So we finished this episode with as much knowledge of the Doctor as Tesla, and it really felt like you were being introduced to someone, like a real person. Because sometimes in Doctor Who stories, like in the Rosa Parks story, Rosa, again, it was a great story. I just happen to think this is better because in Rosa, she's really well known and you know exactly what's going to happen when she's on the bus. So you kind of feel like it's just another Rosa Parks sort of like documentary thing about her. Whereas Nikola Tesla is quite well known, but we don't really know much about what he did, so I just found this performance a lot more believing, and I genuinely felt like that was Nikola Tesla on the screen. Also, the performance of Thomas Edison. I thought at the beginning, I was like, oh no, Doctor Who's setting you up to hate Thomas Edison, love Nikola Tesla, it's been really one-sided. But actually, by the end of the episode, they were sort of like equal for me. They were just, those two can come back any day. I just genuinely loved them. In other aspects of the story, the best parts were that I really liked the Skithra. I thought they were a clever concept, pulled off excellently, and Anjali Mahindra, also played Rani in the Sarah Jane Adventures, pulls off a convincing Skithra queen, and I really liked her as the villain. And I think the first sort of like 15-20 minutes was good. I think it was slightly slow. I'll get onto that in a minute, but yeah, when she appeared and Nikola Tesla and Yaz were transported onto the ship and they met her, it just started to kick off, and then when she came to Earth, it just, wow, 13th Doctor and the Skithra Queen, oh, they were just great chemistry. Everything about this just worked phenomenally for me. Other things I really enjoyed were just like the small mentions of things, because at the beginning, everyone had been theorising, oh, they were looking at a Silurian blaster, the Doctor's holding a Silurian blaster. And everyone's going, well, yeah, it's just a reused prop. No, it is a Silurian blaster, but they're basically just scavengers, and they just stole it from Earth. And I just love small mentions like that. I love the Silurians getting name dropped because it was their blaster. And I also love the fact that I can't remember who they stole the ship from. I think it was like the Venusians or something. They had been name dropped in Doctor Who before. I don't think they've ever actually appeared, but they've been name dropped several times before. So I think everything that they stole was genuinely something that had appeared or been name dropped in Doctor Who before. And like really helped to sell that this is all one connected world and they do actually live in this world. Because the problem I have with a lot of the Chibnall stories, but he seems to be really fixing it this series. Like the Master and everyone. Those aren't my problems, by the way. But the problem is nothing felt connected to previous Doctor Who. I know there were mentions of the Doctor, but they just felt like they were adding them in because they needed to recognise this with the same show that been going on. It kind of felt really unconnected. It felt like this was a completely different show, which isn't in itself a bad thing. But I think it's good that Doctor Who feels like not a small universe, but feels like you know everything, or mostly everything about this universe. And it's just nice to see that aliens do run into each other, and aliens we've heard of and seen do run into each other the whole time. And I just like having name drops, and I love references to the past. Especially with this series, everything's really felt really Doctor Who-y. I don't think Orphan 55 did as well of a job as connecting it to the rest of the Who universe, but I don't think it needed to. But like the Master returning, them having lots of conversations about what had happened in classic Who, and all the name dropping in this really helps to sell that this is one connected world. I thought the companions, although they didn't have much of a big role in this story, did do something in this story, and it worked very, very well. I like the fact that usually in Rosa, again, I'm not saying it's a bad historical story, I'm just using it as an example because this is just the quickest example I can think of, is that they kind of felt a bit stupid. Because in this story, they didn't know who Nikola Tesla was, but I doubt any of the audience actually knew who he was as well, so we were learning with the companions about him, which made him a really likeable character. That he was actually a genius, but he went completely unknown for most of his life. Whereas in Rosa, everyone knows who Rosa Parks but in Rosa, Ryan says she's the first black woman to drive a bus and gets it completely wrong. I think it's something that everyone would know, so I don't think it was necessary to include that line in there. I know it's so we learn more about Rosa with the companions, but I felt like it was just done a lot better here, because we genuinely, as the audience, didn't know who Nikola Tesla were, and therefore made sense for them to not know him. And I think it worked really well that we learned a lot of things with the characters. Because another complaint I have with a lot of things in pop culture at the moment is that there's a mystery, but we find out who's behind everything at a certain point, or like, don't find out, but we sort of know. That sometimes we do find out, but there's a lot of things that we do know that we would have been better if they hadn't like been put in the story at that point, if we'd learned them with the characters. I think this episode does a really good job of making us learn things with the characters in this story. So by the end, we feel like we've been part of the story, we've learned the same amount as the characters, and we were one of the characters in that story. So there's one tiny little negative that I have with this story, is that the first 15 to 20 minutes were ever so slightly slow for me. It was mainly Nikola Tesla's life. That bit was really good, and I told you I like the fact that it started off with Nikola Tesla's perspective and then everything just built around him. It just, I don't know, there was just some points where it felt like tiny bit slow, like the scene with Yaz and Nikola Tesla talking, but they do get interrupted. So this is a tiny complaint, but thinking about, not overlooking it, but thinking about what happens later in the episode, I don't think it's as much of an issue as I've sort of made it out to be. I mean, it's still there, it is sort of like a tiny issue with the story. But then at the end, all this world building around Nikola Tesla and not being connected to most of the other story in this episode, I think really works to sell his character. So yeah, it's a bit slow in terms of getting on with the Doctor Who story, but I think it works as well in terms of world building and knowing the character. So, overall, I'm going to give this episode, I was going to give it a 9.5, but thinking about it, there are not many Doctor Who episodes where I just come out of it and go, that was just a masterpiece of television. So I am going to give Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror a 10 out of 10 for amazing acting, a great script, no expositional dialogue in sight, lots of world building, lots of little name drops which I absolutely appreciate. 13th Doctor was really good in this, great villains. Everything about this was just, I just loved it so much. I don't know whether it's my favourite 13th Doctor story, it's either this or Spyfall at the moment, but this was just an amazing story. So yeah, 10 out of 10 from me. Tell me what you think down in the comment section below, and are you looking forward to the rest of the series? We've got Jadoon next week, and I love the Jadoon, so hopefully that will be a good episode. But what do you think? Tell me down in the comment section below. Are you excited? What did you think of this episode? What would you get that out of 10? I've been Cybermanalf, but for me for now it's goodbye.